Heavenly Father, today we put on the full armor to protect us against attack. We put on the belt of truth to protect against lies and deception. We put on the breastplate of righteousness to protect our hearts from the temptations. We put the gospel of peace on our feet to walk in your light, peace, and freedom with the Holy Spirit. We rebuke anxious thoughts. We take up your shield of faith for protection to block and destroy all the darts and threats thrown at us by the enemy. We put on the helmet of salvation to cover our minds and thoughts, reminding us that we are children of a mighty King. We are forgiven, set free, saved by the blood of Jesus. We take up the sword of the Spirit, your living word, that has the power to demolish strongholds and is sharper than any double-edged sword. We come to you, Lord, in prayer daily. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. What's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and today I'm honored to introduce to you survivor, devoted husband, actor, podcast host of the world's mayor experience, two-time international best-selling author of the book, The Devil Inside Me, entrepreneur and business owner,
Avid.
film and TV, I do, and TV,
Oh, wow.
talk show host, and HIV and mental health advocate, Joshua T. Berglan. It's been a long time coming having Josh on the show. I met him around the time when I began this podcast and was so impressed with all he was doing. We became quick friends, and he was immediately an avid advocate for The Imagination and has been instrumental in helping me get this podcast off the ground. Almost 2 years ago, my podcast was actually terminated off YouTube, and Josh was the first person to extend an open arm and hand to helping me get my content out on another platform. On top of helping me with the podcast, he also has quite the story, background, and accolades that I'm really thrilled to get to share with all of you today. Josh's story takes us through a maze of abuse, sex and drug addiction, jail, bankruptcy, divorce, homelessness, losing his children, and almost losing his life. It is the ultimate story of redemption, true love, and in taking the pain he suffered for so long and turning it into an important purpose that now serves as being a voice for the voiceless. Josh's memoir, The Devil Inside Me, is a phenomenal firsthand account of overcoming what was meant to destroy him, and his podcast, The World's Mayor Experience, that I encourage all of you to go check out, features a plethora of amazing guests and topics focused around bringing awareness to HIV, mental health, healing, and so much more. He's founded multiple businesses and has an innate passion for helping impart media literacy to the youth. He lends his voice and resources to support individuals and survivors battling mental illnesses, HIV, challenges related to sexual identity, trauma from abuse, and the many systemic injustices that plague our society. Josh's story is a testament to what happens when we decide to slay the demon inside of us and what is possible on the other side of pain and trauma. His beautiful wife, Jessica Lynn, is also a hero in his story and serves as a reminder of the power of true love. I'm so excited for you all to meet Josh today and hope you go in the show notes and follow him on all of his social media platforms. I also just want to remind you guys also to connect with us on social media and to follow me on my new Substack at www.emmacatherine.substack.com. I'm going to have all of my links in the show notes as well. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming hero, survivor, overcomer, voice for the voiceless, voice for the youth and disadvantaged, content creator and serial entrepreneur, slayer of the devil, and someone I'm honored to call my friend, the one, the only, Joshua T. Berglan. Joshua, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh my God, you should MC. Oh, that just got me. Wow. I mean, you put some effort into that. My goodness. Thank you. I mean, that alone, let me tell you, I'm so proud of you. I do remember when you lost your channel, but you're such a talent. And here's the thing that I love about you the most. You could do anything. You could model, you could act, you could be a talk show host, you could do a Vegas show, you could do anything you wanted to do. And you're using your platform that you could talk about girl stuff, you could talk about nails and hair and makeup and lashes and whatever, cute puppy dogs and kittens, and you could do all that and you would have millions of subscribers. And yet you're choosing to sacrifice all of that for the betterment of other people. And I honor you for that, because that is not an That is not an easy path. And I just truly, truly admire you for that, because you could go do anything, but you're choosing to do this. So I commend you for that. And thank you for the beautiful introduction.
You're welcome. You deserve every word. You deserve more. I could write 10 pages on everything you've done, and there'd still be more to write. And that means a lot to me too, coming from you. I know that, this type of thing, producing, acting, entertainment industry, this was a big part of your background. And, I can commend you on doing the same thing. You talk about some really hard topics on your platform that people don't even want to look at, much less talk about. And you're talking about it with guests and from your own experiences. So I'm really excited. You have an absolutely incredible story. I mean, you shouldn't be here today, Josh. There's many times that you should have been taken from us. And I love that, for one, you're here, and for two, that you're using these experiences and doing something beautiful with them. You're giving the gift of life to other people. You're being that light in the darkness for them. You're holding up your candle so other people can see it when they're so consumed by darkness. So I'm really excited for people to hear your story. I think you're so inspirational, and your book is just incredible.
It always makes me nervous when I see people flash that book.
I love it. It's such a good read, and it's an easy read as far as it's not long. There's a lot in it, like
No,
it's really hard to read, but you're not committed for like 700 pages,
no, and it would be too much. I actually I wrote a new version of it that is going to be easier to digest and
Okay.
less aggressive. It's interesting because I don't know how much I will get into my story, because my story, I'm so far removed from that life, and I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. But I do want to say this. It's amazing when we're on our path to recovery or redemption, or however you want to look at it. Like when I turned my life around and gave my life to God and was like, okay, I'm done running. Like my life is no longer my own. And when I had that moment of surrender, which ironically was in LA County Jail in isolation, uh, when I was facing 5 years in prison, and you know, anyway, that story's in the book. But this, when we get all hell bent or super excited about turning our life around, and we're committed to the journey and the path, and we don't even really know what it looks like, there's a lot that we believe going into it. There's a lot that we believe is true, because whatever our past experiences were growing up, and then when we have that life changing moment, that life changing moment happens because of everything that happened in your life before then and what you know. And then something, whether it's a supernatural thing, whether it's a cry out to God, whether it's a surrender, whatever that moment is, it means something to you in that moment. But on any journey and any path to purpose, hero's journey, the same journey that we take that Jesus took, this, because we all have that option. Like every single one of us have the option to live Jesus's story. It'll look different, but essentially we all get to die on a cross, because to live, we have to die. Like that's really all it is. We kill our ego, we die to ourselves, and then we become who we were created to be. And that part takes work. But along the journey, I think one of the biggest mistakes that can be made is being rigid in what we believe is right and what we believe is true. Because if we are so rigid in that process, we miss out on a lot of other wisdom and truth. And one of the things that I regret about that book is being so bold in the truth. I don't regret telling the truth, but I in some ways, I regret being so vulgar with the truth, because I needed to be honest and brutally honest, and I needed to do that for myself. I don't know how much I needed to do it for the world. And what I mean by that is this. I wrote a book that was very honest about my past and the things that I did to other people. And all of it was true. Every bit of it is, and every bit of that nasty stuff is true. But I also hurt my opportunity to help other people by letting my ego get in the way of truth. And what I mean by that is sometimes wanting to be a truther, we can let our ego get in the way, and we get so convinced that what we're saying is true that we kind of miss the point ourselves. And I did that. I did that with my upbringing. I did that in my initial faith journey, where I was almost hostile and almost just as evil in my spirituality as I was in when I was really evil. It's funny about how the pendulum will swing. And I don't know if anyone out there that's watching right now can relate to this, that turned their life around. But you notice how we go from one extreme to the other, because it's like I'm all in or nothing. And if I'm not all in and I slide back a little bit this way, like you feel like you're in danger of going back to that old life. Like we try so hard to be like Jesus that we shun everything that Jesus actually stood for sometimes. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is this. Like I appreciate that you bought that book, but I also, I have some regret in how I went about it also, because I genuinely do want to help other people, and I want to show people the power of their story and the power of media with your story. But I don't want people to go buy that book because you recommended it if they're not mentally ready to face a lot of really hard things. And I put a trigger warning in the book, but I really want to give another trigger warning and say it will mess you up if you read it. If you've been through abuse, if you've been trafficked, you've been cheated on, you've been lied to, you've been gaslit, and you're not mentally ready to face all that, please don't buy the book. So.
Well, I'm excited that you
Well,
had
that was a fun interview.
I think it's neat because you weren't necessarily then ready to write a book, and you still did. That's something most people don't ever do in their lifetime, even when they feel perfectly healthy. So the fact that you rewrote a different edition that touches on where you're at now in your healing journey, I think that's going to be kind of a cool thing to read, to see where you were then as you're going through all that healing and getting it out of your head. And then sort of on the other side of that, after you've had some years to, think and reflect, who do I want to become? How do I become this person? And then how different a message can seem from then to now.
I was desperate to be forgiven by the people I hurt. And I felt like I owed it to them to be brutally honest. And I was, because I didn't want them, like when it's my turn to be famous or whatever, I didn't want anyone to be able to go, well, he's lying, or he sugarcoated that, because it was way worse. I just wanted to be honest so it would be done. I was tired of running. I was tired of self-sabotaging. Like anyone out there right now that's living a lie, I don't care how successful you are or how miserable you are in life, or not even, or how poor or the struggle. The only way to really get what we want in life is to be honest about it. So even and this is where I kind of struggled with the church, is that God put it on my heart to be honest. And I of course I took it to a level of an extreme that now the cat's out of the bag. There's no more hiding. But I was self-sabotaging everything I did because I was so worried that someone was going to find out that I was attracted to multiple sexes. I was so concerned that people were going to find out that I had a history of HIV, or that I was an abuser. Never mind the fact that I was abused for 16 years of my life, sexually, physically, and verbally. Never mind that, I put, some people say that I was trafficked. I want to clear that up. I wasn't trafficked by someone else. I was so effed up, I put myself in that situation by myself. Like I sought it out. That's how screwed up I was. That's how hurt I was. That's how desperate for something I was. The greatest consequence of the biggest crime I ever committed, and I committed a lot of crimes in my day, was learning to lie, though. Like I can think about the the scams and the stealing and the whoring myself out. I can think about all of that stuff and just being a completely debaucherous maniac. I can think about all of that. Learning to lie was the worst thing. And let me tell you, like parents out there, like if you were abused and you're not healed, but you have children, and that's complicated. But being honest with your children about what has happened to you is very important. There's a way to talk about your children about being abused or being mentally ill. I've had, getting to talk about my mental diagnosis of DID and ASD and PTSD, those three, and having those discussions with my children, like why I have a safe room. I'm 44 years old. I'm a grown man and I look good in a suit, but I have a safe room. Like I'm a menacing looking guy, but I have a safe room for myself. But having these honest conversations matter. And another thing too is these little lies that we teach children have a consequence that may not show up for 30 years, or you may not see it for 30 years. But these little lies about Santa Claus and shit like that, I'm telling you, you're setting the stage for some problems. Because a kid that knows they're being lied to or thinks they're being lied to is not going to be confident in their own truth and sharing what's going on with them. Believe it or not, a little lie about Santa Claus can turn into a lie about being abused or being hurt or being bullied. And we need children to feel safe to talk about what's happening to them, because if they don't, they're going to learn how to lie. And how they learn how to lie is when we tell them, hey, don't tell your friends about mommy and daddy's fight last night. Don't tell your friends about your dad beating the shit out of me. Don't tell about the cheating. Don't tell, but then, hey, there's Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. Don't lie. But then we're lying. And when they find that out, it has an effect. And that can be dismissed all you want. But I learned to lie by watching my dad abuse my mom. Did I just make sparkles go off somehow on the camera? How did I do that? That was crazy. Anyway, now I want to just keep fidgeting with that. Anyway, so, but anyway, so here's the thing. We got to teach your kids to be honest, because little white lies turn into big lies, and the little things matter. And I'm not going to go into some long sermon about telling the truth, but the truth matters. Truth attracts your tribe, because even if your truth changes, that's okay. You can admit that, hey, you know what? I learned some things. Like I wised up. I learned some hard lessons. My way of thinking was wrong. Whatever it may be, it's okay to be honest. It's okay to say, fuck the Jesuits. I said it. It's okay to say that. It's okay. Like, and then if I'm corrected, you're like, you know what? I was wrong. Zionists are great people. But I'll never say that. I'll never say that. But being honest is freeing for all of us. And one of the areas that I'm getting into, and I'm going to lead, and then I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you ask questions, because I'm leading into this honesty thing. Because I want to use this time to talk about abuse. The lying part and the abuse, they go hand in hand. Men that have been abused, if you don't talk about it with someone, that crap is going to show up, is probably showing up in your relationships as it is now. The sexual abuse that happens to men because we're men and we're afraid to talk about it, even though it gets glamorized a little bit on social media now, by not healing and not talking about your abuse and what's going on with you internally. Like for me, it was sexual identity issues. I mean, I knew I was a dude. I just didn't know, like, my sexuality. That was a little complicated because it constantly shifted and changed it, which now I know has a lot to do with my mental health. But also, it probably has something to do with having a penis forced in my ass and one in my mouth when I was a kid. And then over and over, different situations like that happening. It could have something to do with that, because admittedly, there was pleasure there, but it was also scary as crap. That's mental wear. That's a psyop in itself. But The problem was I lied about it. The problem was I hid it. The problem was I didn't reach out to get help. And so what was happening to me, I was scared to tell the truth. I was scared to be honest about what was happening to me. Therefore, all of these issues started to compound, and then they came out and they were expressed more and more. In each relationship, it got a little bit more severe. Then came the hiding and the drug use, because once I discovered that drugs made me feel good and they made the nightmares that I was having turn to fantasies, oh, well, then this is what I need to do with my life. And I started this habit and cycle of lying, and I'm not blaming anyone for that, but all the damage that I did in my life for not taking the time to get help and learn to tell the truth. I have over 20 years of awful abuse and gaslighting and narcissism and everything else that I inflicted on other people because I was afraid to tell the truth. And had I just learned to tell the truth, I could have ended a lifetime of suffering for other people and a lifetime of consequences for myself. So it doesn't matter what has happened to you. You get to talk to someone about it, because those secrets are poison for your spirit. They're poison for your soul, and they will keep you from receiving all that God has for you, because you cannot be completely healed until you can be completely honest.
That was beautiful. What advice would you have for men? Because men seem to have the hardest time being vulnerable, and there's so many the stereotypes between men and women talking about this are vastly different. And I think you're so courageous you are very blunt about things, and you're very, very honest. And I think people that listen to you are like, how is he able to do that? Because so many people do internalize it. What advice would you give to men who are struggling like how you were in that situation?
Well, there's that Bible passage about all that's hidden will be exposed. So after giving my life to the Lord a couple years into it, I was still really struggling with things, like still struggling with my sexuality, because I had this heart for God, but then I was hearing I was an abomination, and it was serious mind F. To hear this, and because I genuinely loved the Lord, but in that time, like, I was all in and sold out, and like couldn't, nothing was changing. Like, oh my God, I couldn't pray it away. But anyway, what I'm getting at is this: I had a lot of warfare going on, but I was moving on like a good soldier and white knuckling, as they say. And I'm not going to give it in. I'm going to be abstinent, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be a good boy, and I'm going to be sober, and I'm going to be all of those things. And I was in this really bad toxic relationship that I couldn't get out of. This is leading somewhere. Long story short, we got in a massive fight. And it was when I was in the Ascension Leadership Academy, which is an emotional intelligence academy that was very powerful for me. But that said, she accused me of sleeping with all of the guys and girls that were in my class. And I freaked out, and ended up getting kicked out of that course because I freaked out publicly. And I was so angry and mad. Long story short, I said, F it, I don't care anymore. And I went back to meth. And I went on a month-long meth binge for the ages. 3 and 4 day periods, just going and passing out, getting up. I'm never going to do that again. And then a day later, doing it again. I was doing this, and then I kid you not, this is literally what happened. So I'm sitting I have a computer up, and I have my phone, and I'm on Grindr looking for drugs and sex. And in my phone, I've been up. I just drank my urine because I couldn't find meth. I couldn't find the plug. And I remembered this female comedian who I met 2 years after this happened, by the way. This female comedian I heard talking about drinking her urine to get high. And she said it worked. And I remembered that. And I go, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I drank my urine. Guess what? Got really high. So I'm on my phone and I'm looking. And then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, it's gone. And put that down. Put it down. You're not going to like this very much. This is going to suck. And God, I'm kidding. I kid you not. God in the corner of my eye is telling me that he is not done with me yet. Put the phone down. I'm not done with you yet. And he proceeds to give me these instructions. And he says, do you want to be like Charlie Sheen? And if this is so you guys can timestamp this. If you guys remember Charlie Sheen talking about tiger's blood, and this is right when it came right before it came out that he had HIV and blah blah blah. Well, around that time, Charlie Sheen was writing $15 million hush payments. So God, I hear God say, "Do you want $250 million in the bank?" Well, yeah, who wouldn't? You're going to learn how to tell the truth. You're going to build your empire on a mountain of truth. Because he was using Charlie Sheen as the example. Like, if you're going to live a lie, you're going to be writing all these hush payments to try to silence people. Wouldn't it be easier for you just to tell the truth? So anyway, there was a dramatic story there, blah, blah, blah. But that moment was the moment that changed everything to me, because I heard the words direct from God, my imagination. I don't know. I mean, I was up for a month straight, so it could have been the mailman for all I know. I don't know, but in my mind, it was God. And I'm convinced it's God too, because these instructions have paved my way. You're going to put a shadow. You're going to put a spotlight on your shadow world, and you're going to show people the supernatural power of truth. You're going to show people the supernatural healing of truth. And you know what? I took it literally. Hence the book, The Devil Inside Me, being bold. And my talk shows, hence being kicked off YouTube 3 times and Twitter 3 times and Facebook and everywhere else multiple times, because I've got that obsessed with telling the truth. So to answer your question, my advice to men is this. If you want what God has for you, tell the truth. If you want to heal, you want the woman of your dreams or the man of your dreams, if that's what you're into, or if it's a freaking clown, I don't care. But if you want that, be honest about that. If you do not want monogamy in a relationship, then don't say you want monogamy. Don't tell the person you're with that you want to be faithful when you want to bang other people. If you want a girl who will accept you for being bisexual, don't cheat on her. Don't sneak around. Just say you're bisexual and you want a relationship where you can be with men too. Guess what? If you say what you want in life, you will get it. Is all of it going to be pleasing to God? I don't know, because I don't talk to God for you. That's between you and God. You saying what you want is the greatest. The fact that we have an opportunity to speak what we really want in life and have the opportunity to pursue it is the greatest gift from God that we have. And if God doesn't want us to do it, don't you think that a loving God is going to steer our path a different direction? And here's what I love about God. This is what I learned as an evangelist. This is what I learned on my journey, my faith journey. God loves us enough that he's going to let us walk out what we think is true long enough to show us what's true. So God, if you think that God doesn't, if you think that God thinks it's okay for you to be a cheater and a drug addict and sneak around and all of that kind of stuff, walk that out. Walk it out, honestly. Walk it out and see what happens. See if God changes your path. See if things get put on your path. That's, to me, is what the loving God that we have is that we have this free will. But by not saying what you want, not only are you doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to generations of other people, because the person that you're lying to and hurting, you're not just affecting them. Because the thing is, like, say it's a heterosexual relationship. A woman's best, women have so many amazing amazing, amazing things about women, but the intuition of a woman is supernatural. It is divine in nature. And the worst thing a man can do to a woman is break that down. How do you break that down? You lie, you cheat, and you gaslight, and you're a narcissistic piece of trash. That is how you rob a woman of her intuition. That is how a woman helps a man the best. The reason why men go on to be successful is because they have an amazing partner with amazing intuition to help guide them, to keep them from making stupid guy mistakes. Because as men, we make some stupid mistakes. And I don't know how that works in gay relationships. I have no idea. That's not part of this conversation. But what I'm saying is about the cycles that when we lie and gaslight, so I've robbed you, Emma, of your intuition and your joy and made you doubt yourself. I've made you doubt your own instincts. I've hurt your gift, right? So that's damaging. But then say you have a child, say you go on to have a child, or you go into another relationship and you haven't healed this. This now affects the other relationships. It affects the children. It affects your parents. It affects your work. Because women are the creators. And to rob a woman of that, the damage that is done, like you talk about karma, like I don't know, I'm not an expert on karma, but I would imagine doing that much damage to someone with the ripple effect that is, that can't look good on your karma, or however that works. So be honest is the point. And it's worth it. It's never as bad as you want. And here's another thing. Say you are in a relationship. Say you are in a relationship and you're afraid to talk about something. Here's what I've learned about women, men. If you're feeding their love language and you're supplying that, you're filling up their bank of love or whatever they call it, odds are women are going to be very receptive and open to what you have to say. And they're a lot more forgiving or understanding, or maybe even more willing to go, maybe I will try that. Like, you don't need to fear it. Just love, be love. And if you're in this relationship, give all. But you can't do that when you're sneaking around and you're hiding and keeping secrets. And another thing, and the last thing I'm going to say about truth, is if you're living a lie, look around. Those people in your life, the woman in your life, man in your life, the coworkers, your friends, the buddies you go happy hour with, whatever that is, if you're living a lie, those people aren't there for you. They're there for the person that they think you are. Truth attracts your tribe. That's why our testimonies matter. Even if you're struggling and you're currently being abused, your testimony matters in that case, because when you speak it, then your tribe of people, your resources, the people that can pray for you, the people that can love you, they're right there. They're going to come to you. That's how it works. Have you noticed when you give your testimony or you speak honestly about what you're going through, not being melodramatic and, broken nail. And then now all of a sudden you got a support group of people that broke their nails and you're like, start a fan club. No, it's not like that. Not like that at all. But hey, I found out today I have HIV. I found out today I have cancer. I found out today that my partner's cheating. You hold that in, it poisons your soul. It poisons your ability to do the things that you were created to do. But when you share it, no matter how crazy it may sound, you share it. You give yourself an opportunity, you give God the opportunity to bring the people in your life that belong there. Everything that we hang on to that doesn't belong to us. Like, there's no room for God to put what does belong there. That's why surrender is powerful. And the same way, too, when you overcome your demons and your obstacles and you slay a giant, it is your duty to show people how you did it. That's the circle of life. That is what makes us human. That makes us, that puts us to be like, okay, I'm not God, but I'm honoring the God inside of you, because we all have God inside of us. And I wish we would treat each other that way, that we knew God dwelled inside of each other, but it is our duty as children of God to share the truth, because that truth has power, whether it's your struggle or your triumph. Because your triumph, then other people are going to want to know how you did it so you can teach them how to be free too. That's why we're here. Our gifts and our talents aren't about us. They're about other people who we get to bless. And that is a really cool thing, if you ask me. And I hope I answered your question. I just went off on some rant. Sorry. But yeah, I mean every word I just said.
That was amazing. Tell me about the power of true love in your life. How has that helped your healing? You have an incredible wife. She is the most supportive, amazing woman. What has that done for you now that you have that?
Best thing I ever did was take time to be abstinent, to not date, to be off social media, and just to work on me to become the man that I was. I'm not all the way where God created me to be yet, but to do that work, to be able to attract the kind of woman that I had always desired. You know, this sounds weird, but one of the only women I ever respected in my life was my mom. And I always wanted someone like my mom. And I don't have an Oedipus complex, so shut up, whoever said that. It's not that, but I respected my mother. My dad told my mom that she would never sell another house if she left him. She would be nothing without him. My dad said that to her. My mom went on to proceed to be like the top realtor in Oklahoma for like 20 years straight. That's why she inspires me. I've seen my mom negotiate with some of the most successful people on the planet and own them. Like, that's why. My mom is a woman of high character, owns a room that she walks in. She's beautiful, but she's more beautiful inside. So that was my model woman. Like, that was the woman that I was going to respect, even though I was hanging out with hookers and massage girls and junkies and, people like me. I always wanted that, but I never believed I was worthy of that. When I gave my life to the Lord, God worked on my heart to help me realize that I was worthy of the woman of my dreams, even with all my crap, even with HIV and multiple personalities and ASD and PTSD. Like, I was still worthy of that woman. So to answer your question, I got Jessica because I did the work, and I attracted the woman I wanted because I became the man that would attract the woman I wanted. And that took work, and it still takes work. But even then, it still work with all that said. But I want to say this. Jessica taught me how to love. Jessica taught me how to have empathy. I learned how to be a good dad because of Jessica teaching me how to be a good dad, because I didn't know. I didn't know that. I'm going to give you a little example of how special Jessica is. Do you ever remember growing up, you'd have one of your family members like, go give your aunt a hug or go give uncle whoever a hug. And you're like, I don't know, this guy, I don't want to. And then you push him anyway. You go, it's your uncle, go hug him. I grew up seeing that. I grew up having to go be nice to people, believe it or not, that had hurt me. Because I was raised socially, you act a certain way. You're polite, you look people in the eye, you're respectful, yes sir, no ma'am, all that stuff. It was beat into me. And then you do whatever I tell you to do. So you ignore your instinct to go, that's a mother effing pedophile or a kid toucher or an abuser. Because kids, I think they just know it. But then they're pushed by their parents to go hug them anyway. So I know that's an extreme example, but I remember this time when I'd first met the kids, and it was something about, it was one of their own family members even, and they didn't want to go hug them. And I said something like, go give them a hug, and like kind of like, this is stupid, go do that. And Jessica lovingly explained to me about that boundary of your body. I never learned boundaries of body, much less the boundaries of other people's bodies. I never knew any of this stuff. And this whole time, like, I just think about over the course of my life, like how many boundaries I violated not knowing, and how many times my own boundaries have been violated that I just let happen because I didn't know. So she lovingly taught me about what that was, and I got to see a different perspective of it. Oh my God, this is their body. So who are we to say, go hug? If I don't, with my body, don't want to hug you. So things like that in teaching me, and then teaching me how, even though I don't always, I have sensory issues with ASD, and like sometimes I don't know what I'm hearing, if it's real or not, and or what I'm seeing is real or not, and it's gotten much, much better. But her being patient enough to love me enough to teach me, even though I look like a grown man, to teach me adult things. That kind of love and patience, I know for a fact I still wouldn't be on this path without her. I would not, I don't really have a lot of friends because friends are kind of complicated still for me. But for the first time in my life, I've been able to have good working relationships. I've been able to not just learn to love, but receive love, and then make loving decisions for myself. And also, for the first time in my life, I want something that's not for me. I care more about them than myself. And mind you, I love me up first, and I take care of that. I fill up my own love tank to have that to give. But I would have never been that way had it not been for her. So she's been a tremendous gift for me. In our relationship, we're not legally married, but we call it a partnership. But she's my business partner. She's my best friend. Sometimes she's my counselor and caretaker. She's my lover. She's my buddy. She's my best friend. And sometimes she's my sister. As weird as that may sound, that's our relationship, because that's what it has to be. So if you're out there and you have dissociative identity disorder, which is also known as multiple personality disorder, if you have ASD or PTSD, that doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love. That doesn't mean that you won't have the partner of your dreams. Does it mean that you get to take some special, like, learn some different ways of doing things? For sure. But this is how marriage is done bullshit is just that. It's bullshit, because you get to define what your relationships and your partnerships are, what's best for you. There's no rule book. And I know some people will say, well, the Bible, the Quran, there's no rule book for marriage, because guess what? In the Bible, they weren't having weddings that with wedding planners and DJs and shit like that. They weren't catering. They weren't doing that. They didn't have priests. They were getting married, two people in front of God, making an agreement. They weren't going down the mountain to have a big celebration to get married the way that we understand it now. So you don't have to play by other people's rules. You can do what works for you. And when you're mentally unique, guess what? When you're honest about your quirks, your difficulties, your triggers, well, then you may find a partner that's willing to work with those for you so they don't have to be triggers anymore. There is hope for you. When you read about dissociative identity disorder, it makes it sound like you need to be in a loony bin. I feel like I belong in a loony bin sometimes, but guess what? I really don't. Yeah, I have to take special precautions. Yeah, sometimes I live in a bubble. Yeah, I practice self-care. Guess what? I don't care. It's better than being in prison. And I have thriving relationships, and what I'm doing is thriving because of that. We don't need to live other people's lives. We get to live the life the way that we feel is best for us. Are there consequences for that? Yeah, but there's consequences for everything you do. If I give you $1 million, there's be consequences for it. So do what you think is best. And here's the thing. This is the other thing. Last thing I'm going to say about truth. I'm being a really terrible. This is why I don't get asked on people's shows, because I just talk. Anyway, sorry. About truth. Shoot. Never mind. I forgot.
You'll think about it whenever you forget it. My last question for you, and you can obviously, if you remember what you're going to say it whenever you remember. But I just wanted to see, could you give us just a little elevator pitch of your story and then talk about what you're working on today and how it relates to how your story relates to your mission?
So your questions are meant to tee people off, so I won't feel real bad about my long-winded rant. Sorry about that either way.
No,
I'm terrible at being interviewed.
You're
Okay.
great. I love like monologues like that. They're really special. Like I feel like survivors are so brilliant. You guys see the world in such a different way, and it's cool going on these thought journeys with you. That was all amazing what you said.
Just, I forgot that I was talking to people. All right. So my stories in short is this. My mom was Mrs. America when I was growing up. My dad was a successful musician. They had top 10 hits and stuff like that in the 60s and toured with Ike and Tina. So I grew up with all the, the pleasantries of upper middle class life. Beautiful mom, cool dad. They were successful, country club, church, all that stuff. But that didn't keep, crap from happening. My sisters disappeared when I was 7. Didn't know why. Didn't know what that was all about. I thought it was something I did. I mean, they were just gone. And of course, I found out 20 years later what had happened, and that's a story. That's a whole other story. But it seemed like at age of 7, that's when everything started to go really crazy. My sisters left. That's when I was molested for the first time. That kind of stuff happened. The abuse from my father started at that time. Seeing him abuse my mom happened at that time. All the crazy stuff, everything from being escorted to school by bodyguards because my dad had to testify against the mob because he started doing business with it. I mean, like, there's all this crazy, weird stuff that happened all in a matter of like a year. And then from there, it just starts this long process of physical, verbal, and sexual abuse. And I remember acting out, and I was confused because, again, I brought up before, like it felt good. And it felt good, and it hurt, and it felt good. And anytime you ejaculate, it's going to feel good, and then you're going to be scared, especially really scared after, when they tell you if you say anything, bad things are going to happen to your family, bad things are going to happen to you, and like that happens, and that's becomes psychological warfare. And then going through my grade school years and junior high and high school, being called a faggot all the time, even before I knew what it was. And I'm like, well, and then when I figured out what it was, I'm like, that was even more confusing because it wasn't like I just asked to have these experiences. They were forced on me. Am I a faggot because it felt good too and hurt? Like those pop-up things are happening again. That was all very confusing. But I was over-sexualized bad. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I brought this on myself or not. Like I still don't know. And I've had experts say, well, yeah, you did because you put off that energy and you attract it. And then I've had other people say, well, that's self-abusive behavior by me saying I attracted it. But I can remember through my healing I remember what happened right before I was molested the first time. Just a day or two before that, I'm sitting with those guys and a few others watching porn for the first time and seeing that for the first time, other than my mom naked. Anyway, so the abuse all happens. And through my childhood and everything, I'm having these night terrors. I don't understand what's going on to me. It wasn't like I was attracted to every guy that walked or anything like that, but I did have these attractions. I was having these daydreams. I was having these fantasies. And it was very confusing because in the church, I'm also hearing, oh, so faggot means homosexual. And then the church is saying homosexuals are going to hell and I'm an abomination. Well, this is really messed up now. What do I do? This is very confusing. So there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of fear. And I'm learning to lie really well because I have to hide that my dad's beating the shit out of everyone and my dad's banging the secretary. Get to hide all that. So I'm learning this very complex thing. So fast forward to college. I go to Daytona Beach, Florida for the first time. College cheerleading nationals, and tried ecstasy for the first time. Well, that turned into like a 3-day being up on drug fest. And that was also when I had my first like orgy. And needless to say, ecstasy, like anyone who's ever done ecstasy knows, here, try this, it'll bring your roll back. Most people do anyway. And it doesn't matter if it's dog poop. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to lose this feeling, so give me that dog poop. That's kind of what it's like. So it's like heroin, cocaine, meth, ketamine. That was another one. And I'm experiencing this doped out euphoria from the drugs and now the sex. I immediately was hooked. And so that started my, I kid you not, from 18 to 36 chemsex addiction. And in that chemsex addiction, those of you who have ever abused meth know how it just flips reality on its head, becomes the exact opposite of what you think would be reality. It's like living on Earth 3 or something. But that was my reality. Like what was true wasn't really true. What was a lie was true. And it was all very, very confusing. And every time I tried to stop, every time I would find some way to get a spiritual high, typically after getting arrested, that was enough to sober me up to go, well, I'm not going to do that again. And then the first time somebody would say, you're always going to be a faggot, or you're always going to be a piece of shit like your father, or you're always going to be a junkie, or you're going to always be. And it was like instinctively, I would say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And then I would just go right back to that life. And the cycle would start all over again. It was ugly. Jail 6 times, divorced 3 times, lost the right to see my kids, gave them away for adoption. That was the right thing for them. And I regret it every day of my life, especially knowing now that how much I love being a dad. I almost love being a dad more than I love being Jessica's partner. And we get to do that together. But I have my own relationship with the kids too. And not just my relationship as parents, but my parents with them. I freaking love it. So like to think that I've now missed on the twins. I haven't seen them since they were 2. And I'm not allowed to contact them. I'm not allowed to do any of that until they either turn 18 or choose to contact me on their own. And I have a daughter that I didn't know about until she was 3.5, who now has a son. So I'm a grandfather, and I'm not involved in their lives. Not because I don't want to be, but because I wasn't there for them. There's consequences for that. She's got her own stuff. She's been trafficked herself. And when I say I live with the consequences of my actions every day, I'm not kidding. And I mean, look, I have the best life. also. Like, I do. I mean, the fact that I get to pursue my dreams every single day and to help the people I get to help is a dream, is a dream. But there is a price that I still pay for my lack of not. I had many times that I had many moments in my life that I could have stopped the bleeding. I could have just told the truth. I could have done this, could have done that. And I just continued to keep the cycle going because I was so afraid of not being loved. About, you know how hard it is to be an evangelist and say that I mean, I hate to label it because I look at it more as being fluid, but trying to say that you love Jesus or you love God with all your heart, but then also saying, well, I'm attracted to multiple sexes, like in being condemned by your brothers and sisters, that when you say that. So people live in fear about this all the time. It just came out the other day that this pastor he cross dresses to relieve stress, and he's being shamed for it. Do you know why he cross dresses? You probably don't, but you're going to condemn him anyway and say he's blasphemous and he's going to hell and he's a false prophet and all that. You don't get it. Like, there's a lot going on for all of us, you know? And so anyway, my story, there's so many little things. It's all in the book. And like, if you can't afford it, I'll give it to you for free. I don't care. I just, you can contact me on my website. It's there. It's joshuatberglan.com. But I married somebody I didn't know. Like, there were so many things that I did, Emma. Like, I don't even like to, I'm not, my story is just so crazy and it's all over the place. But like, I did all of these things thinking that they were right, or because I was led to, or because I was scared. And the truth is that I never took the time to just get still to figure out what God wanted for me and what God said about me and what was true from that stance. Because you know what? Nothing I see on TV is true. Nothing I see on social media is true, even from the truthers. In the trafficking world, or the anti-trafficking world, those are the ones that need to be questioned 10 times more. Like, getting to see behind the curtain in the anti-trafficking world was the most disturbing thing I have ever experienced. These freedom fighters, they're going to be the first ones in hell. Anyway, some of them anyway. So my story of all the craziness and all the just, I mean, very titillating, insane things, the overdoses and all of the jail stories are all fascinating, every bit of it. And it's just like, it's great clickbait. But the truth is that all of it could have been erased. The healing could have began. I could have started living the life that God created me to live a long time ago, had I just had the balls to be honest. I would already be traveling all over the world by private jet. I'd be doing all of those things had I just learned to be honest when it was easier to be honest. Because now that I want to be honest, there's consequences for being honest now, because no one wants to really hear the truth. And so now that I'm obsessed with telling the truth, you know, my timing wasn't great, but whatever, it happens. But you know what? The only way I'm able to live the life that I'm living now, the only way I'm able to have the blessings that I have in my life now, the family that I have now, the career that I have now, the friends that I have now, and the organizations all over the world that I get to work with, bringing in this new world that we're all about to see, that all happened because of the truth. I told the truth. And even if the truth changes for you, be truthful about that too. Because again, I mean this, it's not in the Bible, I don't think, but I know it from my own experience. God loves you so much that he will let you walk out what you believe is true long enough for God to show you what's really true. And when you know what's really true, at first you will be disturbed, but then you will be set free.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Josh. Tell people about your podcast, where they can find your book, where they can find you, and anything else that you want people to know that want to keep in touch with you and support you.
Well, the book is on Amazon. It's called The Devil Inside Me. My website, everything is on joshuatberglan.com. That's JOSHUATBERGLAN.com. Yeah, there it is. I self-host, and even though I'm on YouTube, I don't talk about anything that's going to make me popular on YouTube, and no one's gonna. And I don't like to do all those unique things like, hey, within 30 seconds, say like and follow and subscribe. So I self-host. I love it. I love this method. I love Muse AI, which is the platform that I use to self-host. And I love it. I'm not on any podcast platforms. I've got a bunch of old content that's floating around there somewhere that I don't know. But this new platform, the World's Mayor Experience, has a variety of different shows, short films, and different movies, different little concepts that we do. You can go to collections. Yeah. And so civil justice, I work with a lot of shadow prisoners, I'm sorry, people that are locked away in a shadow prison. So if you've ever heard of civil commitment, a lot of celebrities get or under civil commitment. Well, there's other levels to it. So I work, one of the quote unquote ministries I have is helping with the civil commitment prisoners. I'm very passionate about elevating the voiceless, or people that are, for the most part, have their voices restricted because they're talking about things that certain people don't want them to know about. I'm very passionate about telling those stories. Even though they're not the most popular, they're not going to make me famous. Kind of like Emma, the stories that she shares are not going to make her famous as far as pop culture is concerned, but the legacy that she leaves will be something that her grandchildren will benefit from. So she inspires me in that sense to talk about these really challenging stories that are true, because I feel that that's the right way forward, is to talk about these stories. So I have media lessons and little short mini videos I do, but this platform is growing, it's evolving, and we have our goal is to take this and create a live experience and travel all over the world doing it. But it's not just a regular, like a tour, like a Tony Robbins or a house music festival, even though it will be kind of like that. Our goal is to go into the cities, like, so Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a very special community of homeless kids. And there's a lot of organizations. If you've heard about the tunnel kids in Las Vegas and people like that, there's all of these cities all over the world that have very special groups of people that have been abused, that are homeless, that have mental challenges. And we want to travel to those communities and work with local organizations for about 2 weeks. And we want to teach them all of the media skills that are necessary for them to be able to get their message out. Media is the vehicle for our dreams to come true. Media is also the vehicle that we all need for the fourth industrial revolution. And what I mean by that is this: media will be just like the internet within months, maybe. I can't say it for sure, but on the timing, but where now we look at the internet as like, what's just the internet? And we only get annoyed when it's slow. But there was a time where that was a luxury. Media has been a luxury, where before you needed a lot of money to play the game, to be in the game. Technology changed all that. It created new media. Now all the media tools that we need to be a media organization are available for free. You can build your own media organization for no money. How do I know? Because I did it. I did it. And now, mind you, what I use now costs money, but not much. And I cover all the bases of a media organization. Going into this new world that we're going into, media is going to be necessary for, one, the revenue streams. You're going to need them, because, prime example, actors can't just rely on acting anymore. Actors need to write books. They need to have podcasts. They need to do other creative outlets to monetize. All of the people during the pandemic that learned how to use Zoom and live stream and Facebook Live and Instagram Live and start podcasts, guess what? You have a leg up on all the celebrities and everybody else because they are used to having people do everything for them. We did everything for ourselves. We created our own platforms. We built our own media companies, even if we didn't even realize. Some of you all have media companies and you don't even know it. Like because you don't know it because you're distributing your content on all of these other platforms that you don't own instead of centralizing it all in one location and using all of those other platforms to send people back to you. Why would you market something you don't own? You don't own YouTube. You don't own Twitter. You don't own any of that. And let me tell you this, I don't have a ton of views on my videos that I self-host, but guess what? I make more money off of those little views than I do on YouTube with a lot of views, or when I had a lot of views. I don't have a lot of views anymore there either. Anyway, the point is this. We have this amazing opportunity with media now, but it's also a necessity. So any of your viewers, Emma, that are watching right now, if you need help, I give a free 30-minute discovery call. We can talk about anything you want. And in that 30 minutes, I will help you. I don't care if you work with me or not. My goal is to help you. And here's the thing, all the information that I would teach you is available for free online. How you put it together, how you monetize it, how you figure out the pros and cons, what to avoid and all that, that's another conversation. But you can contact me and take advantage of the free 30-minute call. And I'll help you. I will tell you anything you want. I have no hidden agenda. But if I can answer questions for you, if you're having struggle monetizing what you're doing and creating, I'll help you. If you want to know how you can make your existing business that has nothing to do with media, how to turn it into a media company, I'll help you do that too. Because it is going to be necessary. Plastic surgeons cannot rely on the yellow pages for business. Plastic surgeons have to be media companies now. Dermatologists need to be media companies. Family doctors, attorneys. And here's another thing. This is the last thing. I can talk about this stuff forever. The leaders of the new world, the new celebrity, the new famous people in the new world will not be the celebrity that we're used to. It's going to be teachers, thought leaders, educators, people that take the time to teach, using your platform to teach. We're going tribal. The days of 200 million followers and $200 million whatever, behind the person, I make $200 million a film. Those people are done. It's never happening again. Technology's changed everything. The power that lies in the hands of a few right now, the CNN, ABC, or the people that actually own them, the power that lies in the hands of a few is about to be distributed into millions of hands. Guess whose hands those are? Yours, mine, Emma's. We have an amazing opportunity right now, but it's also necessary. The world's changing fast, and I'm here to help. And if you do not have the money for my services, it doesn't matter. I will still help you.
And if people wanted to take advantage of that, would they email you, or is that on your website where they?
It's on the website, but there is you can email me there.
Okay. You guys, I'm going to list all of Josh's stuff in the show notes. Is there anything else that you wanted to close with, Josh, before we wrap up?
No, I feel like I rambled and was completely unfocused, but I do appreciate the opportunity very much. I'm in awe of you and what you've created and what you're doing and the lives that you're impacting. It's so inspiring to people like me. So I'm grateful for you.
It goes both ways. You're a muse for me too, Josh. You're a huge inspiration for me. And for many, you have such a positive message. Like I said, you're the light in the dark, and you Your convictions are so strong, and I'm so happy I could finally get you on today. We'll have to do it again because I know that there's so much I could talk to you about. So let's do it again. We'll bring you on another time. And for those of you guys listening, please go connect with Josh. Take advantage of that 30-minute call. I'm going to have all of his links in the show notes. I'll list his email. That way you guys can reach out directly. That way, if you can't find it on his website, go check out his website. I'm going to put the website that he also hosts his platform, or excuse me, the platform that he also hosts his podcast. I'm going to list that below too. Go check out all of his episodes, especially as survivors. You know, a lot of you deal with or have dealt with things like addiction and PTSD, DID, you know, and Josh is very open on his platform about discussing things that a lot of people won't. He has a lot of amazing professionals that come on and talk on behalf of these topics. He's seeking out really top people that specialize in these things too. And he's doing this service for you. You know, so I'm going to link that below. I think his platform is amazing for any survivors, people who are friends with survivors, or even just if you haven't been through anything extremely hard, but you've lost somebody, you've had mental health issues of any kind. We've all gone through trauma. Josh's channel is a gold mine for all of us. So please go check him out. Follow him. Go ahead.
Take advantage of the search feature. I always forget to talk about this, but there's a search bar right above any of the players. You can search any word you want, and it will take you. So, like, if you search all the videos and you search, you could put in, I don't know, HIV or COVID or whatever, and it will pull up every video that's there, but take you directly to the spot that it's talking to about it. You can do that with any video, anything that I'm talking about, you can do that. So it's a lot of fun. So right there, under the just put in HIV just for fun. There you go, and it'll go to the spot. Well, it didn't do it that time. Oops. But you can put that in. It pulls up all the videos. Any subject you want to hear me talk about: media, new media, monetization, truth, which I obsess about, and any of it, DID, any of those terms you search, it'll pull up those videos. I love this search feature, and yeah.
I love it too. It's awesome. And I really appreciate you, Josh. Let me get this off the screen real quick. So you guys go take advantage of that. I'm going to link his book below too. So like he said, trigger warning on it, and expect another version also. So if you go choose to read this one, which I do, if you guys can handle it, go read it. It is raw. It's very similar to some of the podcasts that I have, just with the bluntness. There's a couple guests that you guys know of, Carrie, Nathan, guests like that, who are very blunt and very open. So go check that out. I'm going to link it all below. I'm going to link my show notes, or excuse me, my links in the show notes as well, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting. God bless you, and we will see you next time.